We're back! The Micra rally car build is coming back better than ever, and today we're tackling the brake system. We've got a custom brake line kit from the legends over at Proline, made specifically for this build, so we can run a hydraulic handbrake and a bias valve. We're also switching things up with a Land Rover 300 TDI brake cylinder, so we'll be able to get way more control and stopping power out on the stages. Basically make the pedal feel a lot better. Let's get into it. Right, here's all our lines from the wonderful lads up at Proline. So they've also done us the favour of marking them front, brake master cylinder, the bias to the hydro, and we've got the hydro, which then will go to the rear calipers. So here we've got the 300 TDI master cylinder that the head mechanics just whapped a bit of paint on just to make it look a little bit nicer. It's not going to be brilliant, it's second hand. The reason we picked these are, it's got 2 ports on it, and it is a 1-inch valve opposed to the Micra one. The only difference is that you take the Land Rover reservoir off and the Micra one just slots straight in, and this will bolt straight up to the car. So as you can see, there's a standard Micra one. It's got 4 ports on it, and the 300 TDI one will just bolt straight up there to that, and it's a bit bigger, better for the brakes we're going to be running, and it has 2 ports so we can run our bias valve and our own custom brake line. So head mechanics also fitted the hydro, pre-fitted it, although he's got some little bits of metal on the bucket seats which will hopefully just hoover out. That's fitted pretty much where the standard handbrake goes. We've opted with this one because it's got a bit of a lock on it, so can still have it lock on when we want to. And then for stages, that just flips off there and it can sit there. But yeah, we can get to starting to pipe this up. We're going to fit the bias valve just there. So we're going to start with the hydro, just because I've not got any of the front brake master cylinder out yet. So start with this one, which is from the bias to the hydro. So when you go from the bias, so from the front, you want to go to the back port, and then when you're running back, so to the back calipers, you go from the front port. So we'll start with the back one, that runs to the front. So the bias is here, and then we'll go for the front port, which then runs to the back into a T-piece, which will then go to the rear calipers. So start with this one. They are some nice well done lines that these guys make at Proline. They're very well done. Right, so they've even provided us some of the banjo bolts to go in. Right, so just remember your copper washer. And this one is the one that goes to the bias valve, so that's going to run down the side of the seats here and go to our back port. I'll just pop that little bung out. Another copper washer, I've just dropped one. A copper washer on both sides. There's our other one going on, which is the wrong one I picked up, isn't it? Please tell me that's the other big one. Just feed that through to that back line there. Like a glove, threads in nice and easy that. I'll tighten it up in a minute. I'm going to run them down along the side of the gearbox tunnel here, and they're going to go back into the brake bias by the switch panel. I'll look for that copper washer later. Right, and then we've got from the hydro to the back, which I'll have to do once I find that washer, so give me a minute. Right, I found the other copper washer. I got out of the car, struggled looking under all these bucket seats, and it turned out just to be in front of the handbrake. Anyway, another one, copper washer on first. This one's the one that goes to the back end through the T-piece. So, copper washer, banjo bolt through, another copper washer. And you're going to go to the front port on the hydro. Once you remember to remove the bung that's in it, stop dust and dirt getting in it. And we're going to go straight into that one. When I can line it up. I know it's not a very good view for you guys there, but you understand what I'm doing. There we go, in line. And we're threaded in. For the time being, I'm just leaving them loose so I can make the adjustments on how I want them to run down the side of the bodywork. That top one's going to run over, it's going to run down, across, up the bench, and it's going to tee here, and it's going to split off the left caliper and the right caliper. Backwards view, driver's side, near side. The banjos are only 14mm. Anyway, we've got the bias valve, which will go from inside the car. Open that up and explain that to you. Right, so we've got the bit that's going to go into our bias valve, which will be this bit, and this bit here is going to go through the firewall. So all you have to do is drill a hole through the firewall, and then we've got a firewall fitting which this will thread onto. Here's the bias valve. So it's got in and out on it. So your in is going to come from the master cylinder, and your out is going to go to the hydro. So I put a 90 on this because we're fitting it on the side of the switch panel, and that's going to feed up through the firewall like I said a minute ago, and they just thread in nicely. And then we've got the out to the hydro that we've just fitted, and that'll just thread nicely into the out on the bias. Again, I put a 90 on this as well, just because I thought it might help with keeping a bit of cable management, pipe management, whatever you want to call it. But that just threads nicely in there, like that. So again, I'm not doing them fully tight yet, but that is how you should look. So in, brake master cylinder, out to the hydro, and that'll go to the hydro on the back port, like I mentioned before. Right, for the sake of the video for the brake master cylinder, I'm going to do it here because I've decided I want to, we're doing an engine swap. There's a little secret hidden in this video. Once that's out, I'm going to take all the factory brake lines out, obviously, and it's going to be easy to do without the engine there. So I'm just going to show you quick and simple on the master cylinder what's what. So if I put these out of the way, so this one is the one that's going to go through the firewall. That's the firewall fitting. You drill a hole through, and that'll just bolt up to the firewall into the other one. The one will thread to it. So your rear brakes are going to go to the back port on the master cylinder. Okay, so that'll be your rear. That's the one attached to the car. That's to your back, so that'll go through your firewall. Yeah. Then we've got your front ones. So here we're using a T-piece setup. So that'll go down to your factory line, and that'll go down to your factory line. and the other end of the T will go to the front port of the master cylinder. So just like that, thread in there nicely. I'm not going to do these tight again because obviously I'm going to have to take them off to put it in the car. You get the idea. So that's the side against the firewall on the car, your front line to your T to your front brake pipes. Your rear one is for your rear brakes. That's going to go through your firewall to the bias, out of the bias to the hydro, out of the hydro to another T piece to then go to your left caliper and your right caliper, because we're changing from brake drums to brake discs using the Gizfab kit. I might do a little video on that as well, but I think the guy at Gizfab explains that enough in that video. So I know that's only a short snippet of what we're doing, but you get the idea with the brake lines and obviously how Proline have made them for us. We've given them a load of details. I might put that picture at the end on what our measurements were. If you're going to run exactly the same setup as us, that's the only way these ones will work. So you'd need the 300 TDI brake master running down just to your front calipers, and then through your firewall, into the bias, into the hydro, teed off, directly to rear calipers. You'd have to use a rear caliper conversion kit from anywhere. If not, you could ask them just to break it off at the back to be able to put it onto your drum brakes. It'll have the same effect. You don't really have to run the bias and hydro. You could just do a straight line. But because you're deleting the rear bias valves from the standard Micra, you'll want a bias valve. Otherwise, as soon as you press that pedal, you're going to lock the back end up. But thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.